So, hello. I haven't made a video in a long time. And here I am now in one of my grow houses. And there's a bunch of mosquitoes here now because I'm here in the evening and they like the humid air. So it's not too bad, but they're more in here than outside. So it's a little bit annoying sitting out here in the evening, but I'm just checking in on my plants. This is my grow house where I have the most of my, let's see if I can angle this. Of the most of my tomatoes. So all these are, I think you can see me, yeah, all these are tomatoes and some tomatillos, and down there I have a few squash plants and a few chilies and different things. And I have my other grow house, which is kind of my pumpkin grow house right now. It's about, I don't know, like 15 or so pumpkin plants, something called saucer pumpkins. Anyways, I don't know what I wanted to talk about today, but it's just fun to do a follow-up. Now I have my grow houses are going. It's June, it's summer, things are growing. I have my no-dig areas outside that I'm going to show someday, I think. I just wanted to quickly make a little video here to update myself and whoever might be watching this in the future. Some things I've learned, because I'm just a novice on this, right? I've never really grown things before. I haven't had even plants inside. Whenever I used to have the plants inside in my apartment before I moved to the house or the little farm here, they always just died. I forgot to water them all the time. The only things I've had that survived are cactuses. So this is new for me. But most things are new like this, you know. You can learn and you can do it even if you haven't done it before. So I planted a bunch of potatoes, a lot of pumpkins. I planted the wrong kind of pumpkins, guys. You have to, because you want to be able to store the food, and pumpkins are a really great thing to grow that you can store for a long time. But I, of course, planted a pumpkin that's not that good for storage. I mean, I guess it lasts for a while, but some pumpkins you can store for up to a year. So next year I'm really going to plan which pumpkins I'm going to plant and not just buy something that I think is pretty, which is basically I did now, like, oh, those look cool. Yeah, anyways. And tomatoes are a bit of upkeep. Oh, I see I have a pumpkin plant there I didn't replant. I should put it somewhere. Anyways. Tomatoes need a lot of water, so what you do, one thing that's really helpful to save how much you have to water the plants is to do, like you can probably see, let's see if I can show you here. I put freshly cut grass on all my pots, like on top of the soil, because it keeps the soil moist for way longer than if you just have just the soil, right? And also the freshly cut grass is a good fertilizer. And also I have a pretty big lawn, so I'm generating all this cut grass all the time. So I need to put it somewhere and put it on the ground. It's a great way to keep it moist and to give more nutrients. And here on these I mostly used, otherwise I used bat guano, which is it's bat poop, right? It's really good fertilizer. And my other grow house I used chicken fertilizer, which is also really good fertilizer, but it does smell a bit, so it's not the best thing to have in a grow house, I realized. But it's okay, like the smell goes away after a little while, like a week or so it's not too bad. And what more? Yeah, tomatoes, you have to do some upkeep on them, make sure they're not, I mean, the watering, I've forgotten to water some plants on and off, and they slouch, and but they usually in the beginning, because I'm a real novice at this, so I got all anxious that I just kill the plant, but they can survive a lot. I've found pretty much, like, you can forget to water them and they will slouch down, but they will recuperate if they get some water. Maybe some rest, maybe not the hottest sun for a while. I think one of the big things in the beginning here for me now was when I started bringing the plants out to the grow house outside. I had started them inside, and yeah, it was still for a long time in May, almost up until June. It was frost, minus degrees in the nighttime. So that's one huge thing I learned, was that I don't have it here. Oh, it's behind there. This white fiber cloth, right? I don't have it here, but it's really good. It keeps the air around the plant. If you put it over the plants, right, it keeps the air about, because I had sensor, I put a sensor in here for my, like a thermometer sensor that I can see from inside, and it kept the temperature up about 4 or 5 degrees Celsius more than the outside air. So that's a huge help, because in May here in Sweden it often goes below 0 at night, and that will kill tomatoes. Are a little bit more sturdy, but they can also die from it. But especially pumpkins, squash, aubergine plants, stuff like that, I found are real sensitive to temperature fluctuation, especially frost, right? So this fiber cloth is a huge thing. I didn't know how much it helped, like, because I've never used it before. I never planted any of this before, so I didn't know how much it would help. So one thing I've really learned is that it helps a lot. It helps like 4 or 5 degrees. So if it goes below 0, it's totally fine, pretty much. Other than that, is one thing. When you bring plants out, like to acclimatize, what do you call it? To get them used to the temperature, anyways. In the beginning of spring, I carried all the plants out in the daytime, put them inside at night, every day, in and out, and that's a bunch of work. So to use these fiber cloths and tools like that, to not have to do that too much, is really helpful. And what else? What else have I learned really quickly? It's really fun. This is really fun. So let me just, I don't know, I can't really think of much right now. Besides that, yeah, it is really, you shouldn't get too worried if a plant like slouches after you repot them or replant them or something like that. Because I thought that several of my aubergine plants and my pumpkin plants were dead, and they are most certainly not dead. Let me show you one plant that I thought was all dead when we put it in another pot. It's this squash plant right here, and this came back like no problem. You can see here are some golden squash growing. So yeah, that's a lot of, I like those. And all my tomatoes, these are what we call green kale, or maybe it's just kale in English. They're not supposed to be in the grow house, but I wanted to try how they were growing inside here. What's going really badly is the chili. I have a few chili plants that are this size and they're not growing. I have no idea why they're not growing. I'm a bit perplexed. They've gotten everything that all the rest have gotten, and they're just not growing. They're not dying, but they're not growing. So they have fertilizer, they have water, they have everything. A couple of them are growing. Still not very big, but it's June in Sweden, and it's basically just got warm here, just got like summer, so who knows, we will see. I think in another video I will show you all my pumpkins, but yeah, I've done some experiments outside also. I just wanted to say really quickly, I put a few of my leftover plants in like heaps, because when I cut the grass I got so much leftover grass, I just put it in a huge pile to have like a compost. So I tried putting a few plants down in that compost pile too, and I have no idea if they're just gonna die or if they're able to grow in that. It's really warm in those piles, right? So yeah, it was just fun to make a little update. And what was it I was gonna show you? Anyways, yeah, it's it's work, but it's fun. You know, people, some people say like, oh, it's so much work to do it. It's not too hard to grow stuff. That's also one thing I've learned. You just have to do it. You just have to not like say you can't do it or it's too hard or something. It's not that hard. You can, I mean, I've never done it, and I have a bunch of things growing here. You know, water, sun, some fertilizer, some cut grass. Things are gonna grow. So that's, I guess, is my little final thing in this video, that just try it, man. I'm gonna have I think a lot of pumpkins and squash and some spices and some kale and a bunch of tomatoes, hopefully in a couple of months. I'm really curious how this is going to look, all this going to look in August. I've also planted a bunch of potatoes, so in a kind of no dig area where you don't dig a whole land in the ground, instead just put a bunch of stuff on the ground. Is the easiest way I can explain it. I can show you in another video, I think. But here in Sweden it's a real tradition to grow potatoes, so it's going to be really interesting to see if they're growing with this kind of unorthodox method, I suppose. Anyways, I've talked for a long time, so I think I'm gonna just save it for another video and start making videos again, because this is fun, but I've had a lot to do, so I am a little bit tired. But now it's midsummer, so it's gonna be fun to have a few days off, kind of relax, eat good food, hang out with family and whatnot, and I'll make another video and see you another time. Until then.